all good? Oh, here we go.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right, so hello and welcome to At Home in Health. Each week we aim to uplift and support wellness professionals working from home during quarantine by providing interactive conversations featuring experts on today's timely topics. I'm Amanda LaPlante. I'm a certified integrative health coach and radio host of Get Real to Heal on KWRH 92.9 FM. With me as always are the minds behind this weekly endeavor, Casey Lemmer and Kate Burris of Gateway Wellness Associates and Jessica Turee of Acadia Healthcare. And as a reminder, a little conversational etiquette. We want this to be an interactive discussion and an interactive experience. So we would love your questions and comments. Just pop those into the chat box and we'll make sure that we respond to each and every one of them. I can read them for you, or you can just simply ask to be brought on camera. Just remember that we are being recorded. So we would love to have you pop on with us if you'd like, or just pop those questions in there and I'll make sure that they get taken care of. And this is your chance to connect. So we're glad that you're here, excited to have you joining us. And today's topic is getting organized. It's been a challenge, you guys, right? During this whole quarantine thing, we're uprooted in so many different ways. So Casey, Jessica, and Kate, a lot of people have been thrust into working from home, sometimes creating an office out of whatever space that they can and feeling not only uprooted from their workspace, but also from their usual routine. So I was curious, before we jump into talking with our wonderful guest expert, Susan Sanders, who I'll introduce momentarily, Casey, Kate, Jessica, for you and your teams, what are some of the headaches or the pitfalls that people are running into in your experiences?
Well, I can tell you from my experience, some of you might notice that my background looks amazing. It's not what it actually looks like. I love that Zoom offers the virtual background, because if you guys could see my actual background right now, I would not be allowed to host this particular session. It is like the furthest thing from organized. And what I had to do when all of this started was completely clear out a room. So for the first 5 days or so, it was organized, but keeping things organized has been a challenge. So I would love to hear some tips and tricks on keeping things organized so that I don't have to use a virtual background during my sessions.
I wish I could figure out how to use the virtual background personally.
They are fabulous.
That sounds amazing. As you can see from my background, right now, my husband has been in project mode, so I don't know if you can see that, but we have a door that he took off of an old house and he's been refinishing, which is great, except when you need to close the door to do things like post something or hold a session. It's been nonstop around here. Well, I'll tell you what, let's jump in. I'm so excited to talk with today's guest expert. I just think you're going to have so much to share with us. Lord knows I could pick your brain for hours. So Susan Sanders, as a working mom, Susan Sanders understands the challenges that busy mothers face and offers solutions to manage everyday demands. She founded Perfectly Placed in 2004 and has developed a 3-step process to eliminate clutter and restore calm and order to your home. Welcome.
Thank you. And it's Susan Stewart. Sorry, not Sanders.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know where the
No problem. No problem.
Well, you know what? I'm just as excited to talk with Susan Stewart.
Great. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Well, hello and welcome to the show. So,
hi.
To the conversation. All right. So let's start out with, when people are wanting to set up order in really what can feel like chaos, especially if you've got kids running around the home and so on. And now all of a sudden you're thrown into this situation where you've got to work from home and just make the best of that situation. And sometimes I'm hearing of people like, literally, I have a friend who set up her office in a closet because that's the only spot she could find where she could close the door and get away from the insanity. What are some tips that you have for people when they're looking to create that kind of space in their home?
I think you have to think a little bit outside the box. You don't always have to have an office, but if you're having to do like counseling or something, it's helpful to have a place where you can have a door. But if you're not an office person, for example, I'm not really an office person, and I don't spend all of my time when I'm out organizing, I'm at someone else's home, but I don't have a specific home office. We do have a home office, but my husband also works from home at times. So we decided he's more of a desk person than I am, and I like to sit on the couch. So I kind of just recreated, I took a piece of furniture in the living room near where I like to sit, and I just repurposed that piece. And that stores all of my, I don't have a lot of supplies that I have to have, but it gives me a place. I know that's sort of my office. That little dresser is my office. And nobody really goes in that except for me, and that's where I keep my things. So if you can just figure out where is the best place for you in your home, and if you've got little kids, this is gonna, just get trickier, because you can't be in the middle of a session and be in the living room and have someone running by or whatever. But if you can figure out where, and then just think a little bit outside the box in terms of, can I repurpose a piece of furniture, or, something decorative to keep my things inside, or, have a little box or something like that for the things that you need, and have that near that space where you're going to be. That will help.
Gotcha. I think those are great tips. And so when people are then also layering on top of that, maybe managing a household, taking care of the kids and trying to do all of the things, right? Wear all of the hats and do it all in that same space. Even just organizing the schedule can be very challenging at times. What are some of your tips for people to better manage their time and organize their schedule amid this particular situation?
Well, the thing that I always think of is to delegate. Nobody can do everything. And I think as women in particular, we tend to think that we should be able to manage a house, take care of the kids, do all the cleaning, do all the organizing, do the meals, and have this great job, as well. And it's just impossible to do everything. So I like to use the illustration, like if you worked as a manager or something at Walgreens, you wouldn't be the cashier, the stocker, the manager, all of those things. You would be the manager, and different people would do the different jobs. So I like to use that illustration just to say, hey, you might be the manager of your household, but you need to delegate some different tasks to different people and have help. So that might be with the cooking, it might be with the laundry, or, I don't know, it really varies by kids, but just know that it's impossible to do everything by yourself.
Oh, that is so true. And I think something that a lot of people really struggle with. So it's great to point that out. In terms of organizing, just our thoughts, if we drill it down, we've talked about space, we've talked about time. What if we talk about our thoughts? Like, how do we declutter our minds and wrap our heads around this new situation?
The biggest thing I teach people is you have to write things down. There's so much information coming at us these days, and the older we get, the less we can rely on our brains to remember everything. So I'm a big proponent of lists. So that can be a paper list, or it can be a list on your computer or on your phone, or whatever you prefer. But I write down everything. I mean, anything that pops in my mind, like, oh, I need to, make a vet appointment for my dog, or I need to, whatever it is, I write it on my list. Because I cannot keep that stuff up there. That's the kind of stuff that when you're trying to fall asleep, it starts like cycling. But if you have it written down, you don't have to be constantly thinking about it. So it can be a real drain to constantly be thinking about the things that you have to do. And it can be really helpful and freeing to have it written down.
Absolutely. We've got another guest joining us, another professional organizer. I'm excited for the two of you to meet and to match wits. It's going to be a great time. And Anna Ortiz-Aragon is joining us. I'll give a little quick intro of Anna. And Anna, I got your name right. Poor Susan, I had her name wrong. It was great.
No problem.
Uh, Anna Ortiz-Aragon is a professional organizer. She helps female entrepreneurs declutter and organize their homes and lives. Anna believes in the power of our environment and says removing the clutter frees up all kinds of space, time, energy, abundance, and beyond. Excited to have you join us. Hello.
Hi, thank you, Amanda.
Absolutely. We were just talking about, we kind of talked a little bit about setting up a home office and some of the ways to make the best out of what can be a really cramped and chaotic situation for a lot of people. I'd love to touch back and get your points on that, and then dive into a couple of other things that we've been chatting about here.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can feel super crowded right now. You know, some of us have kids and, you might already be working from home. You've got your partner now, if you have a partner, and like all your kids in the same house. And it can be super crowded. Yeah, like imagine laundry rooms these days, like kitchens these days. They're probably overflowing and just like ridiculously crazy.
Ladies, if you could see my laundry baskets, seriously. Yeah. I looked this morning and I said, that can't be mine. It was just, anyway.
Yes, totally. Which is natural, like we're not always going to be perfectly organized. Like life happens, things happen, and we come in these like ebbs and flows in life. So like what I am really remaining true to is only having your favorite things in your home and like in your life period. Like if you only have so many clothes and all of them look absolutely amazing on you, you get compliments, you feel so amazing when you wear it, you're gonna do your laundry like as soon as it's over, like as soon as you go through your wardrobe, you're like, okay, time for laundry. And then it's not gonna take you like 100 years to fold all of it. Same with kids. Like I have seen like a mom of like 3 kids, the laundry room is like a sweatshop, and it's just like, oh my God. And like, you don't need that many clothes, neither do your children. Like you're obviously not wearing them. So like declutter essentially.
I totally thought that you were going to say that we should just get rid of the kids that we don't like and just only keep the ones we do.
I did too. That's why we started laughing, Anna. If they're not your favorite and they don't look perfect on you, get rid of them.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So, and I love what you said there because, and Susan, I'm sure you have the same feeling, right? When you go with somebody and you go through their wardrobe or their closet, I do this too. Like I've got so many things in my wardrobe that I'm like, now, here's what happened to me though. A few years ago, I started noticing trends come back in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, health coaching thing I've got going on, I am blessed to say that I've been able to maintain my weight and my shape fairly well. It changes a little as you age, right? Things start to, sag and move in different places. But I'm always afraid to throw something out because it might come back around. I might want it again. It looked great on me at one point. It's just not in right now. So how do you decide what the clutter is?
Well, I think of it, first of all, like the clutter threshold, and that's the amount of objects you can own and properly take care of, period. So are you able to handle your stuff? Yes or no? Is your house running you or are you running your house? So that's first of all. And that's intense, but like, let's be real. And then the second one is, I would just save like your favorite trends. If some of them, it's like occasionally for Halloween, do you want a whole like section of your closet for Halloween? Unless that's like your favorite holiday and it like makes your whole year amazing. Like you might want to do that, but maybe you could keep it in the basement or like out of your actual everyday closet. Yeah, so even like with hobbies or collectibles, sentimentals, like only your favorites. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We come back to them because we like them. Yeah.
Yeah. The 80-20 rule is really true. 80% of the time you're wearing 20% of your clothes. And I'm thinking, I'm totally in agreement with Anna. There's not a like magic question that, Marie Kondo, hers is, does it bring you joy? Well, is that a magic question that if you hold everything, you're magically going to be able to know? In my opinion, no, that's just one way. That might work for somebody. Someone else, it might be, well, how many years have you had this? Another good rule of thumb that I like to just keep in mind is how much room do you have? You know, if you've got, you know, a giant house with a giant closet and you really want to have that many clothes, that's a personal choice. But if you have a smaller closet and you only have room for so much, what's going to be more valuable, being able to see and find everything you have, or have so much stuff jammed in there that you really, I mean, that getting dressed is difficult, or, you know, or whatever like that. So, you know, it might be, do I love it? Do I need it? Do I use it? Or does it bring me joy? Or how much room do I have available? Any of those can work.
I love all of that. And I think that it's really important to just drive home. And I do this with my health coaching clients a lot, you know, like, well, how much time do you have in the morning? And how willing are you to be stressed out by the experience of getting dressed? You know, is it worth it to take that little bit of extra time to pull out and throw some of those things away, or reorganize, you know, and pull out the spring stuff, put away the winter stuff, whatever it is that works for you, I think is so important. First experience in the morning, right?
Yeah, I mean, less is more. I mean, you hear that, but I think until you do it, you don't realize like how much more it is, like how much better it is to walk into your closet and have every single thing be something that fits. Because that's a lot of times people say to me, well, you know, this is going to fit me soon, or this is my motivator to lose weight. And I'm like, really? Because to me, that seems like a guilt thing. To me, that seems like you're punishing yourself every time you walk into your closet to have to see things that don't fit. I would encourage people to say, have only things that fit and that you love. What would that be like, to walk into your closet and have it just be that?
I love that. I love that. And talking about decluttering the home too, right? It's spring cleaning time, and a lot of people are getting in that mode, right? They're thinking, okay, what can I get rid of? How can I open up and clear out? The quarantine has made that interesting because it's psychologically shifted us to closing doors and staying in, whereas now would normally be the time that we're opening up and clearing out. So it's an interesting kind of a yin-yang mix match of emotions and feelings that we all have going on right now, I think. You know, I'm wondering two things. One thing that comes up is my husband made me watch Fight Club again the other day, which, by the way, is much raunchier at age 40 than it was at age 19. Anyway, but there's a quote in there. He says, the things that you own end up owning you. And I think that's a really true statement. It really hit me, you know? So I would love to know, you know, how do you guide people through the process of opening up and clearing out in a time when we're told to close up and stay in?
Well, I think when we are forced to stay inside, we're forced to look at our shadows, you know, regardless. So whether you want to deal with your house or not, you're going to deal with memories, maybe past partners, past decisions, past like clients that you used to have. So regardless, something's coming up. You know, when we're in one house, we're not like interacting with other people or having like mental stimulation by our environment. Like you're gonna see yourself in the mirror, and it's up to you to decide like what aspects of yourself you're willing to clear out and purge right now, because we're always purging. Like that's what life is about. It's always death and rebirth all day long, all year long, your whole freaking lifetime. So instead of like resisting, you might as well go with the flow.
Yeah, I like that. I also think of, you know, the holding on process is very fear-based. And, you know, even with the situation of the toilet paper, which, you know, who knew? But, you know, I mean, even that really is fear-based. I mean, you know, the shelves are getting restocked. You're not, I mean, your neighbor's got a roll of toilet paper that I'm sure they're going to let you borrow if, you know, if worse comes to worse. So, you know, sometimes it becomes, and we all deal with this to some extent, but, you know, sometimes we get into that fear mode, like, what if I don't have it? And I think sometimes it's helpful to just think, well, what if you didn't have it? Let's just go with the worst case scenario. So what if I didn't have any puzzles and we're in the virus and I really need to do a puzzle? What could I do? Well, I could order one online. What if they're out of them online? I could call a neighbor and ask if I could swap puzzles with her or borrow one. I mean, there's so many resources, and sometimes just thinking through, like, if I didn't have that extra set of crutches, or if I didn't have that XYZ, it could be anything. What could I do? And if you can kind of think through, like, you know, a decent scenario, which there are so many, it helps to just go, yeah, you know, I really don't need to be a slave to that. I have to hold on to that thing.
Gotcha. Ah, I love that. You know, I want to pop over. I've got some comments that have come up in here in the chat box that are just fantastic. I've got one here from Kara. It says, being a mom feels like being the CEO of a company where you can't fire people or for not doing their jobs.
That's so true.
So true. I've got a comment here from Kelly. It says, lists, exclamation points. Sometimes I even lose the lists. And
so I have a little tip on the list. Can I give a tip on that? So
yeah.
I don't know whoever wrote that comment, but if you tend to write like on little slips of paper or on sticky notes or whatever, having either like a notebook, a small notebook, maybe like a half-size sheet notebook, it gives it a little bit more substance. You know, it's a little harder to lose that. Or like I have mine, mine is just this little clipboard, and I have loose pieces of paper, but it's got the clipboard, and you know, it's harder to lose. So that little guy just goes around with me throughout the house, but it kind of has a landing place. So those are a few tips on trying not to lose your list.
And I bet you have some tips on that as well. Those are great tips, Susan.
Yes. Well, I too like to do paper. You know, like I'm a paper girl. I'm a former classroom teacher. So I have like a little one, okay? And I write my notes and then I put it on Trello. Like there are so many, like Asana, Trello, whatever, immediately it goes on there because then I can see it on my phone, then I can see it on my computer, and then I rip off the page and immediately recycle it. That is the key to the paper. You have to get rid of it as soon as you're done with it. Like open the mail, as soon as it arrives, over the recycling bin and like get it out.
Okay, I like it. I like it. All right, we've got another comment in here. It says, I've never watched Marie Kondo, but wondering your impression of her show, tips and tricks.
So if you go to my website and you click on the tips section, so my website is perfectlyplaced.org. I have done a blog series on, I'm a little more than halfway through, but I've done a blog on each episode, you know, kind of describing the episode, things that I agree with, things that I don't agree with. You know, I think the big thing with Marie is that it's just one way of doing it. There's not magic in her technique. It's just the one that the media has caught attention to. So does I think she has a lot of great tips. And I think also some of her tips are, you know, different or work for her because she's in a different culture. So some of her tips are cultural and may work in Japan, but I don't always agree that they would work in America because we are different. So what are your thoughts, Anna?
Yes, well, I love her. Like the reason why I love her is because she understands the energy. She understands feng shui, even though she never says that. She understands that stuff is holding you back and it's stagnant energy. And once you get it out of there, you're free. You can be who you want. You can step into that person that you've always desired. In terms of like the way that she does organize, she does categories. So like all the clothes, all the books, all the paper, and then she goes down the line. There's like 7 or 8 total. And that's cool if you want to turn your house upside down and like do it. She recommends doing your entire house in 2 weeks, and literally like everything will be crazy. It will be nuts. But, you know, as we work with our clients, we might only see them once a week, once a month. They don't want to live like that. So if you really want to purge hardcore, that's a good way to do it. But I do also agree that there's some cultural stuff. Like I've been to Japan. I love Japan. They are so orderly. They are so beautiful and like sacred people. Like they got it going on. And like their houses are often like a lot smaller. Their kitchens are like tiny, you know, like, so they don't have as much stuff as Americans. Like they just don't, you know, like their commercials, their billboards are different, their radio is different. So they're not bombarded with like this consumer culture that America like loves and is so, you know,
So much
participating in. Yeah, exactly. So love her because the energy, like it's definitely that Eastern wisdom for sure. But it depends on the family. It really does. You know, not everyone is going to organize the same way. Like we wouldn't all be born if we were all meant to be the same. There wouldn't be so many of us if we all were the same.
We have a comment that just popped up from Kara. She says, and now I want to live in Japan. And we have another comment in here. We're getting close on time, but one more comment. So we had, I am a creator and I like to save everything to do with crafts. I have a basement full of beads, materials, all kinds of things. Let's see. That I think that I will make something with. Oh, I know that trap. I've fallen into that trap many times.
Yeah.
It says, and I also have stuff that I want to sell at flea markets. It's a mess. This is like my soulmate. You used to be me.
So I think the thing that I think of with that is being in tune with how much time you really have and how much you would like to do something. So whether it's reading or crafts or, you know, it could be anything. Often our desire to do something is not in line with the amount of time we really have to do that thing. So it's easy in that case to kind of like hoard magazines or, you know, books that you want to read or craft material or whatever. So it's great. If you love crafts, you should do crafts and you should have them. But you should probably choose which crafts maybe are your favorite. You know, maybe narrow it down to 2 or 3 crafts and then give yourself a boundary for how much you're going to allow yourself to store. You know, how many craft things is enough within that category instead of just completely just gathering, but then never really having time to do it.
I love that. I think that's so smart. And I have to say, in my own healing journey, as I've decluttered my mind and started, you know, working through some things in my life, I really did get much more clear on how much time I have to spend on those types of activities. And so I did basically exactly what you just said. You know, I kept the things that I really love to do that light me up and don't feel like a task. They feel like something that brings me joy, something that relaxes me, something that enriches and enhances my life. And some of the other things that were just projects because I wanted to upcycle and do my part to save the world, I ended up letting go of some of those. And it really has felt very, very freeing. And it's opened up room for other things to come into my life that take that place in time that I was holding on to, and that tension that I had in my body over all these things that I need to do. So it's a fun process. And we had another comment in here saying, you know, well said, Anna, thinks, you know, different types of people need different types of organizing. And I think that's one great example. You know, we are at time. I could talk to all of you all day. Thank you for being here. So appreciative. So just a real quick moment. We've got a couple of really cool things that you guys are offering for people right now, and I want to make sure that people on the call know about them. So Anna, you've got a 7-day declutter challenge.
I do, yes. So I created an infographic of like 7 categories that you can declutter in 1 week, and it's pretty easy. And then, you know, like a lot of people shared it, they were into it, but I don't know like who actually did it. So I was like, I'm going to take it a step further. And then I created like a free online course. So now it's like written out on my website, declutterwithanna.com. I use Kajabi, which is like the bomb for courses. And there's videos on there of like my previous clients and like how we did their stuff. And, you know, it's like, you know, just like organizing like learners, you know, like not everyone's going to look at an infographic and like connect the dots or read a book and understand. Some people need to watch, some people need to experience like a sequential step-by-step situation. So that's my gift right now. I hope you guys enjoy it.
Awesome, love that. And thanks again for joining us today, Anna Ortiz-Aragon. People can follow you online at Declutter with Anna on social, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right, awesome. And Susan Stewart, it's been great to have you on as well. I've so much enjoyed meeting you and speaking with you. And you have an awesome pamphlet on your website right now. Tell us a little bit about 3 secrets to organizing anything.
It's just a short, couple-page, quick pamphlet to describe 3 secrets to organizing anything. And it's 3 steps that just, will apply to anything you're organizing and help you think through that. So that's available on our website at perfectlyplaced.org for organizing. And if you go on the tips page, it's on the right-hand side. You can click on that and sign up for that. We also do virtual organizing if anyone would like any personal attention to work on a space or ask questions. We can do that as well.
Absolutely. And yeah, I think reaching out to Susan or Anna right now and getting those virtual organizing sessions, getting everything in order in life. I mean, gosh, we've got the perfect opportunity to do this, guys. So thank you so much for being on today, ladies. Really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Casey and Jessica and Kate. Let's see, I've got Casey, let's have you unmute. Jessica, Kate, where are you? I saw you.
There's like 10 of her, so good luck.
I know. Kate, just know the way. Oh, there you are. Oh, hey.
Apparently she sent out her link to everyone, so they were using it.
Look at that. Look at
it.
It worked.
Log in, guys.
Oops. It worked.
Yeah, you might need to register again if you don't have your original registration link. Otherwise, you're going to be Kate Burris, which is a great thing to be because she's a person.
Yeah, if you're going to be anyone other than yourself, Kate is to be.
Kate is the person to be. I just want to quickly say thank you to everybody. I got a lot out of this session. Great validation is the use of lists. I love lists. I love Trello for lists. I love paper for lists. I love all lists. So I look forward to decluttering with Anna. Now's the time. So thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks also. I loved the chat. I think it was super helpful today. Next week, we're going to talk about technology and the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I hope you all will join us again and have another great conversation. I'm going to go clean out my closet.
All right. There we go. And that's
You got this. You got this.
Perfect. Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask, like, what were your takeaways? So I love that you guys are ready to jump into action, that everybody's feeling inspired, motivated, connected on this call. That's the goal. So I'd like to again thank our team, Casey, Jessica, Kate, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Susan and Anna, for joining us. And, thanks for joining the conversation to everyone today. Loved all of the questions and the comments in the chat box. Join us next Friday at noon when board certified cardiologist Michael Twyman joins us to talk about practicing telemedicine and how technology may be impacting your health and what you can do about it. So it'll be a great conversation. We will see you next week.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.